Joining me now is Dr. Basima Williams. We got another medical update. And boy, you guys seem quite entertained by my glucose blood levels. Getting a lot of feedback on that, folks. But we have a story to tell you. I almost passed out right there in Lowe's. It dropped. The alarm was going off and the whole 9 yards. We got that to get to and a lot more. And I got a bunch of vials in the mail. I got to go and fill up about 5 or 6 vials with blood. And then we're going to find out what my calcium level is, what my PSA level is. I don't know. We got a lot. I don't even understand everything she wants to know about me. So Dr. Basima joins us. Hello, Dr. Basima.
Hi, Brandon. Thank you for having me on today.
Great to have you on. All right. Are we getting a lot of feedback? People happy that I'm your guinea pig on the glucose thing?
Yeah, I actually have. If you don't mind, I'd like to just kind of do a shout out to some of these questions that we had this week. And we actually answered the questions, but we got permission from these people to use their first name and just answer these questions, because I feel like if they're asking the question, other people have them too.
Right.
So one of our friends, Tom from Lincoln, Nebraska, said he watched our weekly broadcast and was seeing that Brandon House and decoding blood sugar, all that great interest. By the way, I'm on the verge, but not quite diabetic. I noticed that your discussion has no mention of something called a hemoglobin A1C, and he was wondering why not. If we're talking about blood sugar, why aren't we talking about hemoglobin A1C? Hemoglobin A1C is the average blood sugar range that it correlates with an average blood sugar range for the past 3 months in your body. And so, of course, when we're checking, like, for example, with the blood work we're doing on you, we are definitely checking a hemoglobin A1C with those multiple tubes that we're checking. That is definitely one amongst many other blood sugar tests, including things like, fasting insulin, for out on some of my patients. I'll even do, on my diabetics, I'll do a microalbumin urine test, because peeing out protein is a sign that the kidneys are not doing great. And we want to be more aggressive with really preserving kidney function, since diabetes is a leading cause of kidney disease, and certainly reason why people end up in dialysis. A hemoglobin A1C, if you remember, we were talking about how glucose in the blood attaches itself to a protein, a lipid, or DNA, and that product is called a glycated product, it's the advanced glycated end product, or AGEs for short, and it reacts with something called RAGEs, the receptors RAGEs. So one of those proteins that glucose attaches to is the hemoglobin protein. And so basically what we're measuring with a A1C is how damaged those red blood cells are over a 3-month period. The higher your blood sugar is consistently, the more damaged your blood cells, or your red blood cells are. That's an indirect measurement of how inflamed you are, really. The higher your A1C, the worse it is, obviously, because the more you're glycating. So I hope that makes sense. I did respond back to him with that information, and it made sense to him. Plus, we weren't really discussing diabetes. Brandon, if we were discussing diabetes, we'd probably have to have at least a 4-part series to go over all of the tests, the proper tests, the best tests at detecting pre-diabetes, especially like there's a lot of functional medicine doctors that will actually do a 3-hour glucose challenge test, which we do in all of our pregnant women when they're further along in their pregnancy, around 28 weeks, because pregnant women naturally become diabetic. We call that gestational diabetes. And if you become diabetic when you're pregnant, that's a sign that in the future you will be diabetic by about 50%. 50% of those women who have gestational diabetes become diabetic later. And in fact, being pregnant is sort of a stress test of how metabolically healthy you are. So we weren't talking about diabetes. We were certainly decoding your blood sugars, and I think we're going to do that a little bit more later here. I just want to get through some of these questions. But do you have any questions about that?
Nope, I sure don't.
Okay. And somebody asked, hey, can I still have an egg for breakfast? That was Stephanie from Wisconsin. And we told Stephanie, you can have an egg for breakfast. And the idea there is are eggs good for you? Well, if you're as long as you're not having gut issues, we want you to eat an egg. I love the amount of choline that's in the egg fat. I think it's really good for your cells, and it's really good for you. Certainly doesn't make your blood sugar spike. So I don't have a problem with eating an egg every day. The problem I have is if you're eating 6 eggs a day, and you're eating, on top of that, you're getting a lot of other sources of saturated fat. So what we talk about is make sure you're eating a lot of monounsaturated fat, the avocados, the olives, and some omega-3 fats, the chia seeds, flax seeds, hemp seeds, and all those amazing fish. But limit how much saturated fat you have to 1 to 2 servings a day. So if you're going to eat an egg, that's great, but just be careful and mindful of, adding butter, having a piece of steak that has a lot of saturated fat. So any fats that are solid at room temperature are the ones that you are the saturated fats and the ones you have to watch out for.
Okay. So is that all of our questions?
I have another one. I have another interesting comment.
Wow.
I have a comment one.
Okay.
I have a patient, Eric from Tennessee, who said, I did a CT coronary calcium score test that was very high, and now he's seeing his cardiologist. We don't know the next steps, but hopefully it's okay. His follow-up testing is okay, but certainly at least it brought to light that he already has plaque around the arteries, and that was based on our discussion when we had the heart study, the heart assessment after, of course, Hogan passed away.
Right. So that helped him, I guess, right?
Yes, I hope it helps him. And I haven't heard back from him yet, but we'll see. And we'll go from there. So, and then I have another interesting, another interesting question. Bill asked, shouldn't you expect your blood sugars to go up with eating? And I think that's a very fair question. I always show my blood sugars and it's always a nice straight line. I'm afraid to look now because last time I looked, it was like not a straight line. I haven't looked yet today.
I am right now as we speak. Let's see, what am I at? I am at, I don't think I better tell you. Right now I'm at 151, but I just ate.
Oh, wow.
I just ate.
What did you eat?
Some tuna and a piece of chicken.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
That's not going to raise your blood sugar to 150. What else was in it? Did you have a piece of bread with it?
No, I'm off gluten.
Some crackers, some soda.
I had a little bit of a Coke Zero.
Okay, well,
but there's no sugar in that.
There's no sugar. There's no sugar in that, and that really shouldn't raise your blood sugar. Did you? Was there like dressing or stuff like that inside of the tuna?
Oh yeah, there was pickles and Miracle Whip.
Okay, so that might have been.
You know what else? And then the chicken was drowned in barbecue sauce.
I bet it was the barbecue sauce.
Logan's laughing.
Remember what I told you? Yeah, remember what I told you about the sauces, putting them on the side because they're gonna add up. The ketchup.
Yeah. No, but this was me. I was like, here, like Doc. I was like this.
Yeah. Here's my blood sugar. Yeah, and do you see that nice straight line?
She's a show off. Look at that nice straight line.
I did.
Yeah, she's a big show off. Okay, what's your average? What did you have?
I had that's what I was thinking. I actually had turkey, avocado, onion, and some carrots for lunch. So, but it didn't really do anything to my blood sugar. So that's good. I also, work out a lot and exercise a lot. But anyway, to answer Bill's question.
By the way, not that I'm not impressed that you can do those squats on that ball, but I was informed this week that ball is not circular. Okay. I was under the impression you were standing on a circular ball doing that. I'm like, the chick should go into the circus. I was like, and then they came in here and said, you do realize the bottom that is flat. I said, it's still impressive, but yes, the reason I was like, I was thinking she's doing this on a ball. I'm like, her past life, she had to have been in the circus.
Yeah, I can actually squat on a real ball if I'm on, but I have to be near something. But we do that sometimes.
You have to be near something so that you don't fall and crack yourself.
So I can hold on to it. Yeah, I don't want to fall. Yeah,
no,
I don't want to fall.
But but that's still impressive. Not taking anything away from you, but I thought I thought, why are you a doctor? You should be in Ringling Brothers Barnum Bailey Circus. My average glucose for the week, last 7 days, is 110.
Okay. I mean, that you want that in the 90s. That's the bottom line. And that's where you got to watch those little things. It's those little things. You're doing better. You're definitely doing better, but you have to watch those little things. Like last week, my blood sugar was high. I can't remember what I had. I had a little bowl of rice and beans, which is normal for me to eat that. And I know that rice makes my blood sugars go up, but normally I add a lot of vegetables to it. And this time I didn't have time to do all the vegetables. Vegetables slow down how fast your blood sugars rise. So you want to slow down how fast your blood sugar rises. If they rise a little bit and then they go back down, fine. But if they spike, that's when you're glycating a lot. You're creating a lot of those inflammatory things. Now your body has to go to work getting, chilling them out.
I went out to dinner this weekend with the wife, and I had some French fries, but I didn't put any ketchup on them because you said there's sugar in the ketchup. But I forgot about that when it came to the barbecue sauce today. I just went,
yeah,
and
not worth it, right?
And then
Not
my sugar has spiked on me on that one.
Yeah, but that's okay. And then that's where you, after you eat something like that, you go and do 3 or 4 minutes of squats, and that brings it down. Obviously, you're going to sweat a little bit, but
Right.
So what we tell people is it's okay to have blood sugars. Like in a perfect world, if your baseline, so my average is about 94. If I go up to about 120 or 130, I'm okay with that. As long as I go up and then back down right away, that's okay. The other thing you don't want is you don't want to go up and then crash, because that means metabolically with that. So if I went up, which I didn't, I haven't gone up yet today, but if I did and then I crashed, then do you see this one little red line right here in the middle, 3 a.m.? I did go down a little bit
Hold
at
up
3
higher.
a.m.
Yeah, there we go. I
little
see
bit.
it. Yep.
Yeah. And so that was a little too low, and it did wake me up at 3 in the morning, but I went right back to sleep. But I'm not going to get up and eat because I know my body's going to make the glucose itself. But I try to avoid those. And when you dip down too low, that means you had an excessive insulin response. And that's not good, because remember, insulin is a growth hormone. It's an inflammatory hormone. You need it to live, but you need just the right amount. Too much is not good. Too little is not good.
So what day was it that I called you that my blood sugar was going nuts? Was that Monday?
I believe it was. I believe you were getting up. You got up early, whatever day it was that you did the yard work, and then you went to Lowe's and you really had not eaten anything. Yeah.
True. I had half a cup of coffee, nothing to eat, worked out in the heat in the Memphis sun early in the morning, trimming shrubs, ran to Lowe's to pick up something. And while I was at Lowe's, all of a sudden my monitor goes off. It's beeping at me like, that's weird. That doesn't normally happen. And it was at 69. Oh, whatever. So it'll pop back up. I'm walking around. And next thing you know, I look again, it's at 59. And then I started thinking, And then it was at 57, and I was feeling kind of cruddy and tight. My chest had felt real tight about 10 minutes before this. And I thought, well, that's probably just indigestion from the coffee on no food. And all of a sudden, I started feeling pretty cruddy. And so I went over to the front of the store and I got a Sprite. I did not guzzle it. I just took a few sips of the Sprite and waited, and it started to turn and go back up. But my wife looked it up. She said, you can actually pass out at about 54. I was at 57. You can pass out at 54 for some people, right?
Yeah, and it depends on how your body is responding, right? So as you started going down into the 70s, into the 60s, into the 50s, your body on the other side was going, ooh, fight or flight, because we have an emergency. We're crashing. We got to do something. And so the fight or flight response acts up, and it produces cortisol and adrenaline. Okay, so it makes you feel like so
like
of
jittery.
course, that's why I want your blood work so bad. I want to see what your cholesterol is. We're doing an advanced lipid profile. We'll probably get a CT coronary calcium score test, all of that stuff. But also, you had a surge of the fight or flight hormones in your body. Now, had you just sat down, it would have passed. Okay, more than likely it would have passed, because you think about this. Before you wore that monitor, you were going up and down all the time, and you just didn't know it. So just like this little kid that I had that I told you about who had reactive hypoglycemia, and in the mornings, sometimes he would wake up and his blood sugars would be so low that he would be vomiting.
Ooh.
And so he went to go see, and the parents are amazing. They took him to the best endocrinologist, the best gastroenterologist, and no one could put two and two together. Okay.
Only Dr. Basima could.
Unless you know reactive hypoglycemia, and I know that endocrinologists know about it, but it's, for whatever reason, it wasn't something that they did. So first thing we did is we put a continuous glucose monitor on him. Next time he had that episode where he was having that cyclic vomiting, because he would do that like once every 2 weeks, it was so bad that he would not be, quote, normal until noon and wouldn't be able to go to school until noon. So, he had time to recover. Once we did that and we started seeing the patterns, now it just so happens Dad's a firefighter, Mom's a nurse, RN. So like I said, they're smart people. And so once we diagnosed the problem, then we changed his diet, similar to what I'm having you do, which is avoiding those sugary foods, the fruit roll-ups and, other things that kids naturally his age eat. And he's a skinny, tall little kid and very, very, very athletic. So of course he doesn't have a lot of reserves. So on the days that he probably ate a lot of sugar, especially at night, he probably had a reactive hypoglycemia in the morning. Even with him going into the 40s, his body responded with fight or flight that included him having to have the nausea and vomiting. Now with you, what you would probably notice is a headache, general tiredness, especially in the afternoon. Those are signs, but you don't put two and two together because you don't know. How ridiculous is it that what you're eating is going to affect how you feel?
Well, I would normally know that my blood sugar was low because I've lived with this my whole life. So I'm like, okay, I know what that feeling is. And I would go and I would get something to eat. And generally it might be a Sprite or some coffee, but then I knew I needed to add some food to it. So generally I might get a couple pieces of cheese or a slice of summer sausage or something, some meat, something of substance, right? I didn't just go load up on candy or anything because I knew that that's going to make the problem worse. I've lived with this long enough to know I got to go get something of substance, like a few pieces of cheese, a couple pieces of salami, like that. So that's what I would do.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's right. And now you know how to avoid it, period.
Altogether. Yeah.
That's the goal.
And I'm not doing I'm not doing any sugar in my coffee. Like I said, I didn't even know these things existed. I have to tell you, I'm off so much coffee. I'm usually 3 or 4 cups a day. And Melissa does have a creamer she uses, but that creamer's got sugar in it, she said. And so I'm drinking 3 or 4 of those a day. And she's got me down to 1 cup of coffee in the morning. And last week, what was it this week, Logan? Like Tuesday? By Tuesday, I was like, I think I'm sick. I think I have the flu. I was feeling even flushed. I'm like, do I have a fever? And Melissa felt my head. She says, you might have a little fever. I said, I feel like I'm coming down with the flu. I felt like I need to go to bed. I had no energy. I felt lethargic, just like I'm sick, and no energy to do my job. And I don't know how it came about, but someone brought one of these around. And I said, there's no sugar in that. 0 calorie cola, no sugar. 0 sugar, it says right there. So I drank one of these. Within 30 minutes, Brandon was back. I was like, I'm not sick. I don't get the flu. I don't know what was going on. I guess it was caffeine withdrawal because there's caffeine in this. And I've been going on such little caffeine. I'm used to 3 or 4 cups of coffee a day. I was going on 1 in the morning. And by the afternoon, I'm like, I'm done. I'm shot. I have nothing left. I must be getting sick. But within 30 minutes of drinking this, I was like, I'm back. And so they were all laughing at me because they're like, you never heard of Coca-Cola Zero Sugar? What is this called, Logan? Coke Zero or something? I'm like, no, I didn't know this existed. But I did know there was, quote, Diet Cokes, but I don't want to drink that because that's got that artificial sugar in it that I'm scared of. And so they're like, how did you not know there was a Coca-Cola Zero? I said, I don't know. I guess I'm not up on it. So I'm doing much better now because I'll have one of these in the afternoon with 0 Coke. With 0 sugar. So That's okay, right?
So that's a double-edged sword question. So it does have artificial sugar in it. It should have artificial sugar in it, I'm afraid, and you can see that on the label itself. And it's the type of sugars that are in it are so highly sweet. They're so sweet. They're usually 200 to 600 times sweeter than table sugar. So you don't need a lot, but they're definitely in there. And then so that's an aside. Like, what is it going to do to your blood sugar? What's it going to do to inflammation in your body, which will then indirectly affect the blood sugar and other inflammatory pathways? And that, after all, remember last week's discussion on oxidative stress,
Right.
we're trying to decrease systemic inflammation. Well, that's not good for you. The Coke, there's no Coke that's good for you. Diet, zero, whatever it is, a lot of functional medicine doctors will actually tell you to drink a Coke instead of a Coke Zero or a Diet Coke. And same thing with Pepsi, because of the type of sweeteners that are in there. And then also because of the effects of the sweeteners on the gut microbiome.
Well, which one do you suggest?
I suggest none except for sparkling water. There is.
I need the caffeine, Doc. I run on caffeine.
You know what you do? The biggest mistake you made is going from 4 cups to 1 cup a day. What you want to do is go from 4 cups to 3 cups, and then from 3, for about 2 weeks. And then
wean
from
myself
3 cups,
off.
yes, from 3 cups to 2 cups. And then, the real test of what caffeine does to your body is to completely get off of it for 2 weeks and then go drink a cup. And you will be so high, you won't know what to do with yourself. You will be like, I've never had a drink like Celsius before, but one of my friends drank one to clean her house because she was like, just cleaned like and never had it again. She's like, oh my gosh, I can't believe. And it's true. So, I intentionally drink, my cup of coffee has half decaf and half regular. That way, if I miss it, a lot of people have the withdrawal symptoms of headaches.
Yeah, I was
when they
having
get
that.
off caffeine. Yeah, when they get off the caffeine. And so you have to taper off. So for example, before we put people on a healing diet of some sort, one of the variety of diets that we choose from to heal the gut or heal the, an autoimmune protocol or whatever it is, if they're on caffeine, we'll give them 2 weeks to taper off. We won't do it overnight. So if they're drinking 4 cups, again, it's cut back by a little bit, whatever rate you want to do on a regular basis so your body can adjust. But make no mistake, caffeine affects your adrenals. Okay. And we're trying to baby the adrenals because the adrenals are what causes the fight or flight. So a lot of people that are working 24/7, have 3 kids at home, they're running, a lot of new moms who, have the kids at home, they're not sleeping, they're barely having time to cook and barely have any time for themselves. They're burning, the old saying is you're burning your candle at both ends. That's what leads to adrenal fatigue, and drinking caffeine is certainly hard on that system.
So, not that I'm not a smoker and I don't like smoking, but what if I flipped over from caffeine to nicotine and started vaping? Can I do that?
No. Oh goodness, no, absolutely not. Vaping
I think it's got to be terrible for you. But I'm reading all these stories about how great nicotine is for you.
So nicotine from vaping is not good because we don't know what else you're ingesting with
Right.
the vaping. A little bit of nicotine.
How about a nicotine patch?
So nicotine gum, a little nicotine patch or a nicotine gum, that is actually okay. And there's actually
And that would give you that same energy like caffeine, right?
It will give you some energy. The problem with that is you want to use it intermittently. You don't want to be continuously using it because you're going to continuously rev it up and use more and more and more. So there is this on and off again relationship with nicotine from the best sources that I could find. I personally made a decision to not use it because I don't want to ever be addicted to anything. So I'd
Right.
rather not use it. But if you used it smartly, if you had a lot of things to get done, especially mental cognition things, a lot of, research I have to do and things like that.
Nicotine will help that?
Yeah.
Wow. Fascinating. All right. Well, I'm only drinking. How many of these a day am I drinking now, Logan? My wife put a stevia in my coffee. Ugh. It just doesn't, I just can't. That's why all of a sudden now coffee's not even appealing anymore. I don't even finish my morning coffee anymore. You're taking away so many of my pleasures, doctor. I don't even
If
finish
you
my
take-
coffee
I will-
anymore. But this
I will
tastes
share.
pretty good.
I will share this recipe with you. And again, this is my use of saturated fats. On days I don't eat eggs or other saturated fats, I will make this coffee that is absolutely amazing. Okay. You take 1 cup of coffee and a half a teaspoon of real coconut oil, like the best coconut oil you can find, and a scoop of matcha tea, the organic matcha tea. So it's a powder form. And I put it in a blender and blend it up. And and the biggest thing you want to do, because you want some protein for breakfast. It's actually my breakfast. That's actually what I had today. And the biggest thing you want is you want to have your collagen, the collagen that's on myvitamin.com, the Worldview myvitamins.com. That collagen mixes so well, and it's a really smart collagen, good source of protein. And I actually have a picture of it here on my cell phone. I wish I would have created my post for it, but it's so pretty. I don't know if you can see this.
Oh yeah, I can see it.
Yeah, it's so pretty and it's so fun to drink and it's good for, it's a whole meal. So it's got the protein, it's got the antioxidants from the matcha, it's got the saturated oil from the coconut oil. And look, that's what I had for breakfast and it did absolutely nothing to my blood sugars. And that's what I'm trying to do. I know if I can control my blood sugars, then, I'll have a very anti-inflammatory chance that
And
day.
and getting rid of the anti-inflammation helps to boost our immune system, stops all the basically eating away of our muscles, right?
That's right. That's right. Yep. Energy. It gives you more energy. So ironically, Brandon, I've done this hundreds and hundreds of times with so many patients who literally are drinking coffee up until 6 p.m. or they can't get through the day. We get rid of all that and we, heal their gut and change their diet and help them sleep and do all this stuff. And when I see them again, they're like, I have so much more energy than I've ever had. And I don't ever want to drink coffee again because now they know how it robs you. It's fake energy. It's not real energy. If you are using caffeine for energy, that means your cells are not making energy on their own, that you're using adrenaline that's driven by the stimulant, caffeine. Caffeine is a stimulant to make energy. So you want to make energy like that, but on your own.
Well, I have to tell you, like I said last week, I do have more energy than when we started first talking. My wife has even noticed it on her own. She said, you seem to have more energy. I go to bed at a decent hour. I'm usually up by 7:15, 7:30. I'm putting in 12, 14-hour days, no problem. So I am definitely not as exhausted. I was about a year ago, I was like, man, if this is getting old, this is not good. I mean, if this is what it's like now, it's going to be like at 70. But I think it was, my diet, my blood sugar going all over the place and needing to level that out. So I'm not taking in a lot of sugar. Like I was never a big candy guy, but I did have some chocolate and some ice cream here and there. And of course I was drowning everything in ketchup, which I guess, and I was drinking 3 or 4 cups of coffee a day with sugar in it. So I wasn't eating candy, but I was certainly taking in more sugar than I thought I was. And that's the thing about the glucose monitor. All of a sudden you're getting an education on how much sugar you're actually taking in. Now, I did gorge on watermelon and grapes one night this week, and my blood sugar shot up.
Yeah, especially grapes. I almost, I just don't even want to eat grapes. I actually ate like 2 or 3 grapes. I bought some because they looked so good, and I know my kids and my husband love them. So I bought them, washed them, got them all ready, and I just ate a few, and I'm like, I know my blood sugars are going to go up. But, oranges and grapes are the worst for my body. Watermelon seems to be okay, thank goodness, because I do like to eat watermelon, but I have to be careful. And I always eat it at the end of my meal, not at the beginning, because again, if I have plenty of fiber to help slow down the watermelon sugar from spiking, then I have a chance at least leveling off.
But I can do blueberries, right? Blueberries?
Yeah, blueberries are good.
How about strawberries?
Any berries are really lower glycemic. It's sort of hard to get a really high blood sugar spike with blueberries,
So I,
especially if
I
you're
usually eat a handful
metabolically.
of blueberries.
Yeah,
I've been trying to cut out the yogurt because that's got sugar in it. So I've just been eating the blueberries.
yeah.
I do have a cantaloupe that's sitting on my kitchen counter that I've been waiting to ripen up all week. What
Yeah,
about that?
that's good.
Is
Yeah,
cantaloupe
that's
okay?
good. Yeah, as long as you're not eating it by itself, and as long as you're eating it with, I always say have your fruit as your dessert and have it at the end of the meal, not the beginning of
So
the
get
meal,
your
and try to
protein,
not.
your chicken, your vegetables, then the
Yeah,
watermelon or cantaloupe.
yeah. Yeah, and the more resilience you have, the more you can get away with. In other words, the more you do a lot of other things well, you sleep well, you exercise well, you have a lot of muscle mass, you decrease stress, you don't drink caffeine. Then, when you do drink something like or eat something like watermelon, you won't have that as high of a spike as somebody else who has all those other things that they haven't been paying attention to. So, definitely, it's a package deal. It's not one isolated thing many times. You know, when we used to go to mission trips to Brazil, Belize every year, my family, we all went with the girls, with the two girls. The two girls would work with the kids in a small town that our church worked at, and then Mike and I would go and visit people and help them, and do all the medical stuff. At the end of the day, we were exhausted. And one of the first things they would give us, because we would have a special dinner, the neighborhood we worked in was dangerous. So we would actually have to leave. And so then we would actually eat dinner in this other neighborhood. And they would give us a whole glass of watermelon juice. That was a thing in Belize. And I'm like, it was so refreshing. I drank it, but I'm just sitting there thinking, how high is my blood sugar going right now? But I don't care. I need it. So I drink it, but I would never do that here.
Well, I
But it was
love
interesting.
watermelon. Woo! Dolly, you love watermelon too. She loves watermelon. Mm-hmm.
Oh, does she really?
Oh yeah, you got a shot of Dolly sitting here. She knows the word watermelon.
Yeah.
I was just talking about
Yeah.
watermelon. She's looking at her. She's staring at me. You know
Oh,
watermelon.
my dogs don't like watermelon. So
Really? Oh, she
yeah, they
knows
don't.
it.
They
She
spit
knows
it
it
out.
when she sees it pull out of the refrigerator in a glass
Wow.
bowl. She recognizes it for what it is and come running from the. If she's sitting in the other room and watches it get pulled out of the, she'll come running because she knows what that red
Color
candy.
is, yeah,
Yeah,
that's
color
awesome.
like candy. All right. So is there anything else we have to cover here? Oh, by the way,
No, I think,
I'm waiting on your nurse to call. She called, but I don't know. It rang once, and I guess Melissa's trying to get back a hold of her because I got to go get my
yeah.
blood taken, right?
Yeah, I saw the notes for that. They're trying to get a hold. I think it's just that we're just missing each other.
Playing telephone
It's
tag.
not a big deal.
But I'd
Yeah.
like to try to get that done this next week because how long is it going to take to get the results?
Usually that one's pretty fast. Usually within 2 weeks we get the
Oh,
results.
see, that'd be great to be able to talk about this in September.
Yeah, and then I also want to get a CT calcium coronary score test on you, just to make sure your arteries. But I was waiting for your blood work. But if you want to get that done, it's a quick little X-ray. Here in St. Louis, we do it through Excel Imaging. You just have to find a place there that does it. It's
Oh,
about
they will actually
$150.
take an X-ray of my heart.
Yeah, it'll be a CT scan of the heart
Whoa.
arteries.
CT. When you say CT,
Yeah.
I don't have to get one of those machines, do I?
It's a little machine, and it's 6 minutes. It's actually less than 6
You have to
minutes
get in a
long.
tube.
It's not really a tube, it's a C arm. So that would be the MRI is the tube. This is a
Okay.
CT scan.
So this one's
kinda like-
open.
yeah.
Okay, I can
Yeah,
do
and
that.
it's 6 minutes.
To
Yeah,
get in
and
the
it's minimal
tube, I
radiation.
have to take Ativan to get in the tube.
Oh yeah, you have to be mentally ready.
Did you
for
know I
that.
used to take Ativan about twice a week, several times a month when I was flying? I had to take 2 milligrams
Oh,
on an empty stomach to get on a plane. And so I was taking 2 milligrams to get there, 2 milligrams to get home. If I had a layover too long, I'd have to take one. And I did that for 10
Wow.
years, and I started to develop a stutter. And we looked
Oh,
it up,
wow.
and that's when we said, you know what, we're done doing that. And we bought a motor coat.
Oh, that's smart. Yeah, that's good. Yeah, I've never taken one, but
Have you ever had
man,
Ativan?
nope, never had it.
I want to.
I haven't had hardly anything in this body.
I've
Thank
never
goodness.
smoked pot. I've never smoked pot. I've never,
Yeah,
like Bill
me
Clinton,
neither.
he smoked it but never inhaled. I never smoked pot. I don't drink. But I described what Ativan was like to some of my friends who are, Christians now and don't smoke pot. But They're like, oh, wow, that sounds like some of the good stuff when we were back in the 70s. And I said, well, I don't know what that would feel like, but I could see where someone would really enjoy Ativan because all of a sudden nothing bothers you anymore. And I had to do it to fly, but it also caused me to be a little more compassionate with people that develop problems because I could see whatever was bothering you, once you took that 2 milligrams on an empty stomach, nothing was bothering you. I mean, I couldn't get on an airplane without it, claustrophobic. But
Yeah.
but give me 2 milligrams of that and wait a little bit, and I'm walking right on the plane like nothing. Doesn't bother me at all. I mean, how is it that it changes your brain like that, right? It just takes that away. And but I was on it for 10 years, and like I said, it's like everything's got side effects. And when I started stuttering after I'd come off of it, I'm like, okay, I'm done. I'm out of this. I'm not doing this anymore, and I quit. That was 2005.
Yeah, Ativan is a potent inhibitor of the excitatory neurons of your brain. So it really calms everything down, which is interesting because those same receptors, but not permanently binding, the same receptors that Ativan affects is how our special magnesium actually works that are
Really?
in my vitamins. It is. And so it acts on the GABA receptors in the brain, which are very calming, except when it's magnesium doing that, magnesium glycinate doing that, it's a very gentle calm. It's not like you're not going to notice the difference like you would with the Ativan. But the nice thing about the magnesium that does that is it actually helps you turn off that overactive brain at nighttime, the one that can't stop thinking, the one that just keeps going, like you're a hamster on a hamster wheel. That is what it calms down. So, so many of my patients love it. And they are, you can sleep better, supports sleep and degree of sleep, level of sleep, all the markers, the biomarkers that we look at, REM sleep, deep sleep, awakening, all of that stuff, it improves. There's improvement in all those areas when we can calm the GABA receptors down.
Well, I've had that problem for years trying to get my brain to turn off from all the things I need to be doing tomorrow, all I've got to do tomorrow, or going over the day. And like, but generally what I find if I put on some light classical music, I can usually unwind and then finally turn that off and I'm off.
As long as you have a system. Now, the other thing too, Brandon, I wanted to talk today about, but we can talk about it next time because I know you have a short time today, is oxytocin. I really wanted to really bring home the point of what oxytocin is and how important it is, because when we look at overall pillars of health, like I had another patient, her name is Annette, that called me and we talked. She's from Wisconsin, one of your listeners, and she has all these little things going on, and all these little things make no sense to a doctor, but she doesn't feel well. So unfortunately, I don't see patients in Wisconsin. And so she'll find a functional medicine there. She'll go to ifm.org and find a functional medicine near her, because you have to address this in a multifactorial perspective. You have to look at sleep. You have to look at nutrition. You have to look at exercise and stress management, but also social engagement. And it turns out, we talk about cortisol and insulin a lot, and we have been talking about cortisol and insulin a heck of a lot, and how blood sugar is such a huge disruptor of that. But the next hormone up on the hormone hierarchy is oxytocin, and that is your bonding hormone. That is the hormone that's released in large amounts when you have a baby and when you're nursing, and also when you're being intimate with your spouse. It's that hormone that after intimacy makes you kind of drowsy and want to fall, it helps you fall asleep. That's being released. It's that hormone that's being released when you give somebody a hug, or you touch someone, or you even compliment someone, or you share a laugh with someone, or you watch a funny show and you're just belching out laughing. That is a very important hormone. And I think a lot of times it's underrated because it's social engagement. You have to socially engage. And one of the things you said is you are picking up on the social cues of other people who may be suffering and have more empathy towards them. People that chronically produce more oxytocin also have that. So you may have that as a thing. And that's something we can talk about next week to really give it its due.
Wait, stop right there for a second. You're saying that certain people that tend to be more tuned in and sensitive to other people may have a very high, good level of that.
Yeah, absolutely. People who sit in their house all day, I mean, this digitalization of this country, of this world, really has really kind of ruined this hormone. And so we're seeing a lot more disease. In fact, I was listening to a lady talk today and all the stress that she went through. And just because of my doctor brain, in my chair. So she was going through her entire history, and it's a beautiful talk. It was a very beautiful talk at a morning event I went to today. And in my chair, I'm thinking, oh my gosh, she's going to get cancer. She's going to get cancer. Sure enough, age 42, she gets breast cancer. And it's that stress that you don't pay attention to over and over. It's that lack of human touch. It's that nutrition you're not paying attention to. So for Annette, you can't answer a question like she had because I have no idea what it is. It could be her gut. It could be her microbiome. It could be, you want to look at genetics. You want to look at assessment for risk of dementia. You want to look at blood sugars. You want to do the blood sugar monitor. This is just one thing of many things that we do that help propel health and wellness into a positive phase. But absolutely. And you can't fake it. When you're being intimate with your wife, if you are faking it, you're not going to make as much oxytocin. And this is one of those hormones that's a very important hormone to your healing and your overall nervous system and everything. So the only way you get it is with human contact and now you can on the phone a little bit. If you talk a lot and it brings you joy and happiness. But it's a very, very important hormone for those reasons. I think it's just to give it respect. I think we should talk about it.
Okay, let's do that because I also want to work and maybe take a little note. Is there something going on, a lack of hormone or a lack of something or an overabundance of something? Of course, I know we have to take the crazy shot. People that are taking the crazy shot, which I never did. And the peer review study by Dr. Thorpe, Dr. Peter McCullough, and all these guys, they were showing a year or so ago, and now a more recent one, that this is causing suicidal thoughts. It's causing a breakdown in the ability to understand things, cognitive issues. So suicidal, depression, cognitive, and people just having mental breakdowns. And they have done a peer-reviewed study on the shot and how, particularly the more doses they get, you start seeing this breakdown, right? Then, of course, we know we now have a peer-reviewed study on the turbo cancers being caused by it. We covered that last week with Nick Helscher. But aside from the crazy shot, is there something that people are getting too much of or not enough of that are causing them to be so rude and aggressive? Like this week, we saw some lady get upset about her airline ticket, and she punched the computers. Logan, can we bring that up? She punched the computers at one of the gates at an airport because she was so mad, and she assaulted the computers.
That's all about resilience, right? It's how much. Are you sleeping? Are you in a good relationship? One of the biggest robbers of life is being in a loveless marriage. Loneliness in an elderly person who sits at home by themselves all day. These are things where we're not feeding our body what it needs, and in particular, this particular hormone. To answer your question about COVID, even the COVID itself, the disease and the vaccines, your number one thing that you can do, because I love empowering people, the number one thing you can do is decrease inflammation, decrease everything that causes inflammation. That's why this graph was so important, because down here, the oxidative stress that all these things do, is DNA mutations, is misfolding of proteins, is cancers and Parkinson's and dementia and all these things that develop because we cumulatively, you could add COVID on here if you want to on the increase in oxidative stress. But if we don't have a balance, that's when we are going to start seeing things. That's why that thought went through my head when this lady was talking, not because of the, fear of cancer and, oh my gosh, she got it. In my head, I'm thinking, oh my gosh, she's going to get something, bad because she's so inflamed because of so many reasons, not just the one thing of that was majorly stressful in her life. She had a lot of things that were going on all at the same time. And it's too, and the red flag for me was she was waking up every single day at 2 and 3 in the morning. And while she would read her Bible, which is a good thing to do if you're going to be up, the problem with that is your hormones are out of whack. They're not in a healthy place. If you're waking up at 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning every day because your cortisol is way too high, it's shooting up. Now, if you have to get up to go pee, that's different. But if you're getting up at 2 and then at 4 and then at 5, you got to figure out why and fix that problem.
Okay, let's make notes on all that. Hey, by the way, when you're talking about laughter and touch and marriage and having a loving marriage and laughing, it reminded me of Proverbs chapter 17, verse 22. There it is. A merry heart doth good like medicine, but a broken spirit drieth the bones.
So true. That's
So
what
laughter is medicine, is what you're just saying. A loving
100%.
relationship, human contact, compassion, touching. This is all medicine.
Do not underestimate them. Like when I chose my shirt today, I chose to be happy and I chose a bright color. I mean, that it starts in the morning, right? It starts in the morning when I get out of bed and first decisions I make. And, so self-care, I think, also brings you joy and happiness and also increases oxytocin, meeting friends. These are you have to be intentional about it if you want to increase oxytocin. But what we're seeing, again, in those highest risk populations, the people that are working from home, the elderly that are alone all the time, and then also a lot of women. Unfortunately, it's a lot of women that are in a loveless relationship that they just don't know what to do, and they don't know how to have that conversation with their husband, or it's like talking to a brick wall for some of them. And I do have a bias towards. I see a lot of women who are patients, but I'll tell you, if you have that kind of relationship, whether you're a man or a woman, get help. Because it is important and you deserve a good relationship. Get help with a good counselor, your church, just get help somewhere where you can start having, your spouse should be your best friend.
Mm-hmm. Well, I think that's you and Mike. I know that's Melissa and I. So yeah, I do say to Melissa often, I'm so
Praise
glad
God.
we don't have a bad marriage because we know people that do. And I'm thinking your whole life is miserable. You can have all the success. You can have financial things, but if you have a bad marriage, your life is miserable. And I know people like that. And they have things. They have lots of money, a couple of these people I know, but they're miserable people. They don't have relationships with their children. They don't have relationships with their grandchildren, their marriage. I'm like, what are these people, what do they have? And I know people, they have lots of things and houses and, nice cars and vacations and all kinds. But they're miserable because their marriage is horrible. They're no relationship with their children. I'm like, man, how miserable. My wife often says, I would rather live in a small house and have a happy marriage than to live in a mansion and be miserable.
100%. 100%. I agree with Melissa. I think that, again, from a health perspective, I love that Proverbs verse, and it is so true. It's definitely what we see. And laughter is good medicine. I mean, sometimes I'll just watch a show like Friends just to laugh, and just to kind of, cut the, sometimes there's a lot of things going on in this world and you just need a break. And I think it's important. And that's when that oxytocin level goes up and you're a lot happier in general when you're laughing. Yep. So yeah. And a smile does a lot of good, not just for yourself, but for everyone who sees you. I don't know if I told you about my Starbucks story. Did I ever tell you my Starbucks story?
Why do you go to Starbucks? There's nothing good there for you.
I only when I travel, and I will get a half calf Americano, half regular, half decaf Americano.
Melissa likes the
no cream.
What is it your mother likes, Logan? The one that tastes like perfume, Logan.
Oh, the lavender.
It's in the fall. Pumpkin spice latte.
Pumpkin spice. I have to have one of those every year. Again, I don't live in a perfect box. I don't tell people to be perfect, but I do have to have one of those every year too.
She loves it when fall rolls around.
But I only do two. I only do 2 pumps because they put 4 pumps in it. That is way too sweet, especially if you're not eating a lot of sugar anyway. But I went to Starbucks one day while I was in San Diego on a business trip. And I walked in and I had this message from God that said, be extra nice today. if they need you to be extra nice. And it was really early in the morning because I had just hiked. I wanted to see the sunrise, went back down. So really early, no one was there. So I walk in and I'm not fake nice because I don't do fake, but I was really, really just a big smile and thank you so much. And I tipped them $2 for this $4 drink or something like that. And I left. And I always give them my name as Olivia because who no one can spell Basima. So I just give them my daughter's name, right? And it gives me a chance anyway. So I said Olivia and I left. 3 months later, I go back to San Diego, do the same thing over again, go hike and then go to this place, get my coffee. And the same lady was there. And she said, Olivia, right?
Wow.
She remembered me. And what that taught me, well, one, God doesn't ever make mistakes. Whatever reason God gave me to do that, because I haven't had that. I don't have that all the time. That I don't go into places going, oh, God wants me. But that particular day, I specifically remember it. And then she remembered. And so what you're doing when you're smiling is you're giving people something. You don't realize it, but you're exchanging energy. You're giving them what you're blessed with. You're giving it away. God gave it to you. Now you get to share it. So definitely,
That's pretty impressive. She remembered your name 2 months later.
3 months later, and it was a common name. It's not like it was Basima. She remembered a very common name. And I was like, how did you remember my I'm like, do you know his name? There was a guy at that point. There was a guy that came in. I'm like, do you know his name too? She goes, no.
Did she say why she remembered your name?
No, she's like, I don't know. I just remembered your name. And I'm like, oh my gosh, well, that you just made me feel so special. And, I made her feel special again. And then she goes, hey, Olivia, we made this extra, I think it was like an egg white feta wrap. She goes, do you want it? Because they're going to throw it away anyway. I'm like, absolutely, I'll take it. Like, you just don't know what's coming your way. Just be nice. And you're increasing everyone's oxytocin level. From a medical perspective, there is a lot of science behind being kind and being nice and being generous. And
Nancy Reagan, her slogan was just say no. Dr. Bashima's is just be nice. Be nice.
Exactly. Exactly. Just be nice to everyone. There's no reason to be rude. So
that's for sure. That's for sure.
Yeah.
All right. Let me go there real quick, guys. Let me go there. The website. Where is it, Logan? Where did it go? There it is. There it is. And check out the Antioxidant Super Pack. By the way, I think we should mention, if you get on the monthly plan, the price drops dramatically. So $148.50 a month. That's your morning and your nighttime pills. They come in a box like this, this right here. Okay. And then where do we get the other one? Sorry. And there we go. And you have your morning pack, and then you have your nighttime pack. Come to me, boys. You have your morning pack. Oh, I can do that too. Okay. Morning pack and nighttime pack, right, Doc?
That's right. Absolutely.
So it comes in your box.
Yep. And then also we had a lot of requests for combining that with the foundational. So we combined the antioxidant super pack with the foundational. So people only just get one box for the foundational plus the antioxidants combined with it. That's actually the perfect thing to do.
Excellent.
That plus a good diet. Make no mistake about it, right? You got to have a good diet. You got to have a good, on this list, diet is the thing that you can do really wrong or you can do really well.
100%.
And it has a opposite effect if you don't do it well. And so that's the first thing that we really, really want to focus on.
Absolutely. Get the pack
and then add in. Yeah.
My blood sugar is 113.
Oh, wow. Not bad. Not bad. Let's see. Just hope you don't crash, because then that would mean, but after you build resilience and you'll have less and less crashes. That's the goal. So even when it does spike, it won't crash.
I had my monitor on this arm, and then I had to put the next one on. So now I'm over here on this arm. And I didn't look at the needle the first time I put it on, because you said don't look at it, and Logan did it for me. This time I did it for myself. I looked at the needle. I was like, holy cow. That needle's probably that long.
No, it's barely this big, but
why does it look so long?
It's also very soft. It looks very ominous inside that tube. That's why I tell people don't look. Don't look. It's barely anything that goes in. You're not going to feel it, blah,
Well,
blah,
I
blah.
didn't.
But
I did it, but I was
yeah, that's
shocked.
good.
I was shocked when I saw it. Like, oh my word.
Yeah. Yeah.
But yeah, I'm on my second one, and now I'm running it on this. And you're going to get me a subscription,
Subscription.
so I can,
Yep.
because I want to keep monitoring this for a while.
Yeah.
All right, then I'm
Yeah.
going to get my blood taken. Your nurse is going to call my wife,
Melissa,
and,
yep.
and we're going to get that arranged. We're going to take about 5 vials of blood, and then we'll come back with my PSA level and all kinds of stuff. This should be interesting.
Yeah. Omega-3, omega-6 levels, all that. Your
Now,
advanced
now just
levels.
to clarify, let's say my last time I checked my PS level, I think it was like 2.
Okay. Yeah,
was
that's
like-
good.
It was like 10 years
Good
ago.
enough. Okay.
So-
yeah, so it'll be interesting to see what it is now.
If we come back and it's high, what is high? I mean, by the way, it differs for different people, right? You can't just say same for everybody. You have a baseline, right?
Generally, PSA is high if it's over 4, but also we look at velocity of change. So most people have it done every year. So the velocity. So if yours was 0.5, and then the next year went up to 2, that's abnormal. The
Okay.
velocity of change is too fast.
But let's say
So
I have a high PSA. Doesn't mean I run and have my prostate ripped out. You can reverse it with other things, right?
Depends on what you have. We would cross that bridge when we get there. Let's just say that's a whole show. That's a whole show answer. That's not a 5-minute answer, because unfortunately, that's not always the case.
Oh, boy.
Unfortunately, there are times that you do have to have a additional testing, and also potentially surgery, which would be in your best interest. And that is something serious for men. It's a common cancer for men. And so it's something that can metastasize to other organs if you just leave it unchecked. And it can be something that kills you. So if that's the case, then of course we're not going to leave it alone, which is why it's a whole discussion for another day. However, if you have something called benign prostatic hypertrophy, you bet we can do a lot with that. That is just where the prostate gets big. And, there's this little thing, it looks like a straw, called your urethra that goes right through the prostate. That's where pee goes through. And if the prostate gets too big, it compresses that straw. So then you can't pee very well. So then there's urinary hesitancy, takes a long time to get started, when you're going to the bathroom, all sorts of little things like that.
I don't have any of those issues.
Yeah, that's good. Those are good signs that your prostate is fine.
Yeah, I have no
Getting
problem.
up at night multiple times, that's a red flag. That's the only red flag
Well,
I
I
have
drink
for
a lot
you.
of fluids. That's one reason why.
Yeah,
I
but
have
you're
a
going to
nice,
stop doing that.
Yeah, but I have
You should.
I have green tea before I go to bed, a whole cup of green tea. That's one reason I get up too.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, 6 ounces.
But when I
is
go, I have no problem. It's just,
That's good.
that's a good sign.
Yeah, that's a really good sign. All right. Well,
All
we
right.
diverge.
We'll know
All right.
soon enough, PSA levels
right.
and all. All right,
That's
thank you,
right.
Doc. Have
That's
a good
right.
one.
All right.
Dr.
Take
Basima
care.
Williams
Thank
checking in. Thank you. Check it out, folks.
Thanks, Brandon.
Thank you. WorldviewVitamins.com. Get your antioxidant super pack. Remember, we brought it down. If you get a subscription, it gets down to $148.50. So you save quite a bit if you get the monthly subscription for your morning and nighttime pills. All right. All right. That's our broadcast for tonight. Folks, do you appreciate what we're doing? Hey, I know I mention it all the time. I don't want it to fall on deaf ears. We need your support. We're a listener-supported network. And we're not only running this channel, we have a Bible prophecy channel we run. We have a Bible channel that's nothing but Bible teaching. We have a health channel that's nothing but health. And we have our news channel now that's running worldview reports, several worldview reports, so you get caught up on the news. All those channels you'll find at Worldview Tube under the tab at the top of the page. Choose channels, you'll see them. In fact, you do that right here. Look at that. Okay, you have your Worldview News channel, your Bible channel, your Prophecy channel, your History channel, your Health channel, and you can watch them all free, brought to you in part by our foundation, pushing out Christian worldview programming absolutely for free as ministry. Also, remember, we have a Sunday night church service. I'm teaching through the book of Revelation. Lord willing, I'll be back this Sunday night, teaching at 8 p.m. Central, 9 Eastern, Revelation chapter 20, verse 1. That's our church service, and our church is our foundation. And you can make a tax-deductible contribution at worldviewfoundation.com. Please do that. We do need your support. A lot of people get busy in the summer, forget us, but our bills, they keep coming in. So help us catch up on a few bills, all right, will you? We need to get caught up on a few bills here, but we need the revenue to do it. So please be generous with us. Worldviewfoundation.com, worldviewfoundation.com. worldviewtube.com. Roll the music. Let's call it a night. If you appreciate what we're doing, you can also go to worldviewstore.com and order free business cards and pass these out. Melissa told me that a dear lady said, I want 100 of them. I guess she makes quilts. She makes quilts or something and wants to include some of them with quilts that she makes or gives away. We had another gentleman say, can I get 50 of them? So folks are very aggressively helping get out the word about Worldview Tube and introduce people to this great programming. Of course, you know, if they come here, they're also going to get the gospel. We work that in quite a bit, don't we? Because after all, as I said on radio today, I don't know if I could do this job. If all I had to do was talk about right, left, Republicans, Democrats, all this stuff would wear me out. It has no eternal value, some of it. I don't want to be pious, but I sometimes I just think, oh, but I get to do more than that. I get to talk about the Bible teaching, the gospel. That's what really motivates us here. Bring some friends. Let us share the truth with them in more ways than one. Thanks for watching. Take care.